First You Think is a not-for-profit ministry of the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. Support us at ucdsm.org today.
On September 13th of last year, I participated in a meeting of 15 community organizers and leaders in congregations with Pope Francis at the Vatican in Rome. The 16 of us sat in a circle in a room at the Pope's private residence, talking about the work happening in the Western United States to lift communities. I was invited to this meeting because of my history and involvement through our church with AMOS, the community organizing network of which we are a part. It is a local affiliate of the national organization that organized this meeting, the West Southwest IAF. Those are the facts of my attendance there. I'm here this morning to share about how this Unitarian Universalist built a theology that connected to those 15 people, including Pope Francis. I discovered our church, my first and so far only congregation, in 1998, at the end of my marriage and the beginning of a new chapter. The seeds of what would become my spiritual life were planted much earlier, of course, in the secular home of my childhood, where service to community and action toward justice were daily dinner conversations, and demonstrated by the commitments of my parents. As I grew up, I was the one child in my family that was church curious. As I attended vacation Bible school at the local Lutheran church, dabbled in the Methodist youth group, and also participated trying on a kind of evangelical Christianity throughout my teens. And while these church experiences didn't lead me into religion or church for another 20 years, they, along with my family's practical theology, formed a basis of a curiosity about what it meant to live a spiritual life, a life rich in meaning-making. When I started thinking about what led up to that trip to Rome and who I am now as a Unitarian Universalist, the metaphor that kept popping up was one of weaving, of how these aspects of my history are woven together, how the experiences of church life, family life, and community organizing life have woven together to form my spirituality. Our readings this morning from Martin Luther King Jr. and Mary Oliver provide a sort of loom on which this weaving occurs. And the threads that I want to share with you are these: power, love, anger, and imagination. King speaks specifically of power and love. Oliver speaks more obliquely of anger and imagination. The weaving of these traits is deeply spiritual work for me because it is creative work. For me, all creative work is spiritual. All creative work makes something exist anew or changed that is more than the sum of its parts. There are many words for this: magic, mystery, God, holy, wonder, 1,000 other names. It is at the heart of creative human effort and at the heart of power, love, anger, and imagination when they are brought into relationship, woven together into a seamless whole. At my first training with AMOS in 2003, so 20 years before I met Pope Francis, I learned some ideas about power that were new to me. Ideas like power is simply the ability to act, and that unilateral power, power over, was not the only kind of power that humans could exercise. I learned that power built relationally among and between people could operate differently toward a common and collective community solutions. My curiosity about this kind of power and how it worked was awakened. I kept showing up for Amos meetings and trainings and actions with other church people and decision makers in our community. I built relationships with Catholics, Methodists, AME members, and secular leaders. I began to see how this power was built and exercised and rebuilt again over and over. King talks about power and love as mistakenly held up as polar opposites, instead of traits in close relationship with one another. Power exercised relationally is power exercised with love at its core. And it is power that engages with anger. As King says, it is implementing the demands of justice, using love and power to correct everything that stands against love. And what of anger? Anger, like power, is a word that makes gentle, good, loving people uncomfortable. We'd rather call it passion or concern, but I'd suggest we get more comfortable with anger. For a little etymology, the word anger comes from the Old Norse words anger, A-N-G-R, which means grief, and angra, A-N-G-R-A, which means vex. Grief and vexation, to be puzzled and frustrated by that which causes sadness and pain. Anger sees this thing, this situation or system that doesn't work and causes trouble. Or as King says, it is unjust. It stands against love. Anger, that kind of anger that desires to engage with love, power, and imagination, is a specific kind of anger. It is a fire that burns without consuming, like a furnace in your soul. It is not blazing. It is not blind rage. It is pointed, heartfelt, desiring of a response and a change. It angers, it seeks resolution not through violence, but through connection. It seeks to tell the truth to those who will listen. Not only those who desire that change, but also those who, through the exercise of collective power, have the ability and are become willing to make the change happen. I feel certain that this kind of anger fueled the works of the civil rights movement and many others. Discovering this kind of anger in one another is a critical part of the fabric I'm weaving. When I meet with someone, I am always looking for it. I know that for me, it is a fuel for the long haul of social change, and I've seen it work in this way for many others. King shows us well how love is connected to power. It is Oliver who directs us on using love to transform anger with imagination. In Wild Geese, she writes, "Tell me about despair, yours, and I shall tell you mine." That telling and sharing is at the heart of the connection of love and anger. That telling encumbers us to one another. If I know about your grief and frustration, your anger, if you've entrusted it to me in sharing it with me, I am no longer the same person. I am changed by your anger and called to respond. Oliver doesn't leave it there, though. She doesn't say we express our despair and simply suffer, satisfied at having shared it. She doesn't say, you know you are loved, so be at peace with your despair. Instead, she says, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you over and over, calling you to use that imagination to find quote, your place in the family of things. Imagination is about seeing another way. Imagination is about putting ourselves into the work of change. As King says, love is being called to correct that which stands against it. The journey is the possibility that becomes a reality over and over when imagination, love, power, and anger find their people, and vice versa, when people find their power, anger, love, and imagination. My journey has invited these things to join together, to begin with whatever is sparking, to look for and invite the alchemy and magic that is the fire burning brightly in myself and others. It might be anger, and often is. Why is this like this? I don't like it. And then another person hears you, cares about your anger, and love is there. And then there is imagining what else is possible. And then there is the power to act toward that possibility. This is work we do together in community. I think the in community matters. I'm not talking about family life or intimate partnerships, at least not today, but about public community, work, church, government, school, city, and state. This work is no less than the transformation of society, and no more impossible than your willingness to begin the journey. And the journey is lifelong. My own journey started as a bookish girl of 10, and I'm still on it, 100%. There's no arrival point. I didn't meet with the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, and it all now feels complete. Instead, that meeting was another turn of the shuttle on the loom of my life, another opportunity to strengthen the fabric of my spiritual life. The mystery of love, anger, power, and imagination coming together, a tapestry woven, filled with threads that shine, continues to show me the way forward. It is my most fervent hope that as you too find the threads of meaning and weave them well into the tapestry of your own lives. Thank you.